Welcome to Podcast TV. I am really pleased to be here with Tiffany Bean, who's an animal behavioral specialist and a professional breeder. And boy, oh boy, you have got a whole lot of experience behind you. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you.
So this whole animal breeding and animal behavior specialist, I guess it started with a childhood trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yes. When I was young, I had an incident where I was attacked at actually the Utah Hogle Zoo. And to kind of help me get over my trauma, my parents looked into getting a dog and letting me get some rabbits. So when I was 10 years old, I got my first rabbit. And then when I turned 12, I became licensed with the ARBA and started my own rabbitry. And it's just kind of exploded from there. I've just started working with different animals, different breeds. And currently I work with professional service dogs. I breed. Once a year, I breed my own service dog and produce some puppies, and I can show those to you in a minute. I have short-tailed Brazilian opossums, rabbits, and hedgehogs.
You've got quite the menagerie of animals, don't you?
Oh yes, it's definitely a little zoo over here.
So you're at the zoo, you're attacked by an animal, and your parents say,
well, it wasn't an animal, not to cut you off. It was yeah, but I've always been an animal lover. And so it was a person that attacked me as a young girl. I was 8 years old.
And so your parents decide that the thing to do is to help you to kind of cope with this is to have an animal. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So talk a little bit about how that helped you, because I imagine, based on where you are now with as many animals as you have, that it was a really wise decision. See, Tiffany, parents do make good decisions for you to have that first rabbit. Is that right?
Yes, it was actually a huge thing for them to allow me to get an animal, because my dad had talked about letting us get a dog, and then when I just said I actually want a bunny, first I got a lot of resistance from them because they didn't want a rabbit. And then I just remember overhearing my parents talking about, hey, maybe this will help her. Maybe this will give her an outlet, a reason to go outside again, a reason to trust. And so that's kind of where my love for animals really grew. I always loved animals, but where it grew is where I started to realize that not only do they give me something to take care of and a purpose, but they provide so much comfort, and you can learn so much from animals and the way they interact with each other and how kind they are, and they never do anything just to be bad. And it's just been, this is Cozy. She's a pretty rare breed from Madagascar. She's a coton de tulear. So she's about 1 year old and she just likes to snuggle.
So as far as, I just want to spend a little bit more time on the animal helping you. The other thing that the rabbit did, I imagine, is that it helped you to trust people again too. Is that a fair statement? Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. Because I had to learn how to get a rabbit to trust me. And even as a young child, I realized that I was kind of like a scared animal a lot of the times, and that I needed to be like the rabbit and learn to trust. And I learned to trust other people and taking care of it and playing with my rabbit. It was hard for me when I'd have friends come over and say, oh, I want to play with your bunny. And I'd be like, you might hurt her. But then I had to learn, like, no, people are good. People, as I believe, people essentially are good-natured and they don't have bad intentions. So,
well, one of the things that you ended up doing was becoming an animal behavioral specialist. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so I got interested in seeing how these rabbits were helping me so much. And then my parents got a dog as well, and I had this huge bond with this dog. And I decided that I wanted to start learning more about what animals can do in helping assist people. So that led me to pursuing a career in training service dogs. And so I have a service dog now. She's in the other room with her puppies. And it's just amazing how dogs can be trained to do everything from detecting your heart rate spiking or an insulin drop, or detecting a seizure, or for me, detecting a panic attack or a dissociative identity disorder episode. And it's just amazing amazing how a dog can sense that beforehand. And when I started getting really fascinated with that, I realized that is what I wanted to do for forever. I wanted to study animal behavior and learn how humans can take that behavior and use it to our advantage, and of course the mutual advantage of the animal. So
you've been doing that for how long now?
I've been training semi-professionally for about 7 years and professionally for 3.
And when you look at this whole idea of animals helping humans, what has surprised you the most about what you've seen and what you've learned?
It's actually surprised me has been the animal's intuition. Sometimes you can get an animal that's not even trained. I have a hedgehog banging his cage around over here. That's what that sound is. But you can have an animal who's not trained at all, and that animal can go in and detect a seizure. So, for example, a couple years ago when I was training my service dog, we were in a class where somebody was giving a lecture on animal behavior, and my dog started to signal to me like I was going to have an episode. And I thought, and I was looking, I wasn't going to have an episode. I could tell I was okay. And I was like, what are you doing? And in that instant, the person behind me had a seizure. And she was not trained to detect seizures. So it was crazy to me to just see like they learn and they understand. And I think especially dogs are so closely connected to people that they're capable of a lot more than that we understand.
As you've gone through this process of becoming an animal behavioral specialist, of training service dogs, do you still find things that surprise you? You think about how the word you used was intuitive. It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It really is mind-boggling. And I am surprised every day by new things. Like, I'm surprised on how my dogs can pick up on stuff that I do. Or even the hedgehogs, I can walk into their room and when they see me, they know treats are coming and they run over to the front of the cage. And things that are so small. I'm also always surprised by people. And when people have me come out to train their dog, or when people come to my house to view a rabbit or a hedgehog or the opossums, I'm always interested to learn about their lifestyle and what led them to choosing this animal. And I really think that there is an animal for everyone, even the people that claim they are not animal people.
Well, the other thing that I've seen in terms of some of the interviews that I've done is service dogs for vets. And the change in how a vet that's got PTSD, how their perspective changes is absolutely dramatic. Like, I can go out and deal with the world when I've got that animal beside me. And you must see the same thing in what you do.
Oh, absolutely. Because I worked so closely with service dogs, I actually primarily work with PTSD, because that is one of the things I was diagnosed with, was PTSD from my childhood trauma. And although I'm not a veteran and I never served in a war, I understand a lot of those symptoms, and it's so empowering what a service dog can do for those people who cannot leave their house, who sometimes can't even leave their bedroom. And then suddenly they get a dog that's trained to respond to things, and they have the freedom to do whatever they want, to live their dreams, to have a normal job, a normal life, and a family. It's really incredible.
So what do you chalk that up to? I mean, it's, the one side of the conversation is, oh my, isn't it amazing what animals can do? But the other side of this conversation is, oh my, isn't it amazing what an animal can do to help somebody to really come out of some dark places, right?
Yeah, I think that it's just chalked up to, I just honestly think it's an innate biological response that we've had over the past 15,000 years of having a domesticated dog. Like, I think that it has been through selective breeding and through living so closely with another species. I don't think there's another animal out there who has been so selectively bred, or who can understand human emotions, and they can even read our facial expressions. No other animal can do that. I think that's amazing. Like, even I read a study the other day about monkeys, and monkeys can't detect pointing the same way that a dog can.
Wow, I had no idea of that. So, let's just go down the breeding road a little bit. You breed animals. You breed a wide variety of animals. One of them is your service dog. And what do you do with the pups? Do they all go to service?
So that's our goal. That's actually why we started breeding service dogs. I realized when I was looking for my newest service dog, Dublin is her name, that I was having a really hard time finding a dog that qualified, because I'm not a veteran. I can't apply for a veteran program, and I'm not blind. I can't apply for a blind program to help me get a dog. And I was having a hard time finding a dog that was good enough. And so when we finally found Dublin, after about 2 years of looking and testing the parents and doing all sorts of temperament testing, we decided that we were going to keep her intact and do all of her genetic testing and her OFAs and everything, to then breed her and then raise the puppies in a really specific environment to hopefully increase the yield of the service dogs. So this is like the 9th litter that we've raised on this program. It's my dog's 2nd litter, but the 9th one that we've raised on this program, and it's increased the yield of service puppies from about 20% per litter to about 75%. So what changes is the amount of time the puppies get and the specific training, of course. So from the day the puppies are born, they're being worked with at least 30 minutes each every day, from receiving early scent exposure to stability training, vibration exposure. We do early neurological stimulation, and there are a lot of programs called like puppy culture. This is like a step above puppy culture. And then once the puppies open their eyes and start, getting their other senses, we move on to different sorts of stimulus, like movement reaction. And then the whole time we're charting the puppy's progress and comparing it to past puppies who have gone on to do service work. And from there, when the puppies are tested at 7 weeks, we've been able to increase the amount and the quality of service dogs. And it's been amazing. So these puppies, the goal is to get them, as many of them as possible, into service or therapy homes. So with our current litter, we have 8 puppies, and 6 of the puppies are already placed, but the other 2, I haven't found people with a need yet. So.
Wow. So it's like early childhood education for kids, right? I mean, basically the way that you increase the yield is you give them more time, more training, more exposure.
I have brought 3 of them up here to see.
Oh.
So they're 2 weeks old today. And they're so cute. This is Kovu.
Now, do they have their eyes open? I can't tell.
Yeah, they open their eyes. The last one opened his eyes last night, but they've been opening them about all week long.
What is it about puppies and kittens that gets that response from people?
I think it's called, if I can remember the word, neoteny, I think, where they're bred to have these cute little squishy faces, and they look small for forever. And people are just drawn to this cute little thing to take care of it. And the good thing about these dogs is, we want to take care of them when they're this small, but when they get bigger, they'll be taking care of us.
Yeah. And so you did you say that you can already tell which ones are going to be service dogs?
Well, we won't know for sure until they have their testing done at 7 weeks, but there are ways to tell us this puppy's doing really well. This puppy is going to have a higher chance. This puppy, not so much, so.
So what do you want people to know who are looking for a service dog? What are some of the things that they should be thinking about?
Do your research. Absolutely do your research. You do not want to buy a dog from a breeder who's a big chain breeder. If I were looking for a service dog, I always say, get a trainer to work with you to help you find a dog, or make sure the puppies are being raised by a trainer, and also make sure, if the puppies are being raised by a trainer, that they're bringing in other trainers to also evaluate, so it's not a biased opinion. I'd say also make sure you get all the health testing on the parents, the temperament testing on the parents, the genetics, and if that breeder's not willing to let you come into their home to meet the dogs, then run. That's
a really good one. If they're not willing to let you see the dog and its environment, that's a huge red flag, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's a huge red flag, because what are they hiding? I mean, there's actually been a lot of problems coming up lately with breeders, and I'm all for people breeding their dog if you do it correctly. If you raise the puppies right and you have them in a program and you have them with both of their parents having their health testing done, and you are doing it legally, then I'm all for it. But if you're just doing it to make quick cash, that's not a breeder that you should buy from. and it's not something that breeders should be doing.
Well, and my sense is the reason that it's not is that people who tend to want to do this for cash don't have the same level of concern that they do for the animals that a professional breeder would.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, our puppies are considered very expensive puppies, but I also take off time from my job so I can train them for when they get older up to 7 hours a day. I spend with the litter training. That's a full-time job.
That is a full-time job. Let's talk about just in general breeding animals. What do you want people to know?
Breeding animals is kind of like what I said about breeding dogs. It's not something to do for quick cash. It's something that you do if you're a little crazy and if you really love the animal and you want to create a better version of that animal for people. So I started with hedgehogs because I think they're really cool. But also I had a friend that had a hedgehog that was really mean and would bite and was aggressive. And I'd ask her, is this normal? And she said, oh yeah, every hedgehog is like that. And my little animal behavioral mind was like, no, they just have to be selectively bred. So we started breeding the hedgehogs specifically for temperament. Of course, as well as for health, we won't breed an unhealthy hedgehog, but specifically for temperament. And we're at the point now where when we produce a baby, those babies don't huff, they don't roll up, they don't spit, they don't hiss, and they're just really friendly. And so I like to prove that breeding is for the betterment of the animal. It's not to make quick money. It's not to produce pets. It's specifically to make animals easier to coexist with.
It makes so much sense, and I think it's so easy to lose sight of, isn't it?
It really is. It really is easy to lose sight of. So you always have to give yourself little check-ins, like, why am I doing this? Why are these puppies going to good homes? And I'm not afraid to tell people no. If someone comes to me saying, I saw a picture of your hedgehog on Instagram, it's so cute, I want one, I'll say, okay, have you done your research? Are you ready to take care of a hedgehog? And if they say, oh, no, I don't really want one, or like, I really want one, they're cute, but I don't want to take care of it, then I will turn them away.
So since we're on the subject, let's talk about hedgehogs. Why are they a good pet?
Oh, hedgehogs are amazing. I'm going to get one. This little girl right here, she's been banging around. So this is a hedgehog that actually I know, they're pretty funny looking. She's really friendly. Her name is Pumpernickel. And so hedgehogs are really, really great pets because I'm gonna let her run around. They are one of the easiest pets to take care of that I have ever had. I've had a little bit of everything. And as long as you have the right diet for them, they're insectivores. So you have to have insects, a really high protein food that's balanced with carbs, as well as fiber and moisture content. But as long as you have that and a wheel, they are good to go. They don't smell. Mine don't bite. You can get a mean one that bites. And another thing that's awesome, they're great for young families because if you drop them, their quills are hollow and they absorb the shock. So they're hard for children to hurt.
I never thought about that as being a reason to get a hedgehog. And do they stay in a cage like other, what am I thinking of, hamsters, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we generally recommend like a guinea pig sized cage for the hedgehogs because that they like room to roll. And I always get them out, like almost every day, all my hedgehogs get out. So I have 5 that I own, adults, and I get all of them out and all the babies out every day. And they live in a cage. You can have like a tote, those big plastic totes you can convert. They're also really easy to litter box train, which is awesome because you can clean the cage once a month and just their litter box once a week, and they stay clean and happy and healthy.
It's very cool. I didn't even know that people got hedgehogs for pets, but it's neat to know. And oh my God, they are the coolest looking animal, aren't they?
They're really cool. And it's interesting because everybody thinks of a pet as a dog or a cat, but a lot of those people, maybe they're hedgehog people. Maybe they work 8 hours and they can only come home at night to play with a hedgehog. Or maybe they go out of town frequently, but the hedgehog's not going to be mad if you leave them alone and just have someone check on their food and water for a couple days. They're still going to love you. Right.
And that's a good point to really think about what the appropriate animal is based on how much you're going to be away, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. You have to think of that. You have to think of your lifestyle. You have to think of what you're willing to pay for an animal. And as far as their care, Because a hedgehog, it costs like $4 a month to take care of a hedgehog and to do a really good job. But a dog, you're looking at closer to $100 to $120 a month if you're going to do it right.
Now, the other thing that you breed is short-tailed Brazilian opossums.
Yeah.
How did that come up?
That actually came up because of the hedgehogs. So hedgehogs, we were looking at, like, they're so cool, but their only drawback is that they are pokey. And some people don't want a pokey animal. It doesn't bug me because my hands are used to it. I think it's charming. So we started doing a lot of research, and a friend of mine actually pointed out, hey, have you heard of these STOs, these short-tailed opossums? They're from Brazil, they're marsupials, and they're supposed to be really cool. So I got into the research side of it, and I talked to a bunch of breeders before I decided I absolutely want one. So we got one about 2 years ago, and after a year we decided, yeah, more people need these. So we brought a couple more. So we have a breeding trio. We have 2 females and a male. And they are really, I have one. I can show it to you.
Yeah.
So he's actually right here. He's actually my newest little baby. He's not super great at being out of his pouch, but he's full grown. He's young, but he's full grown. Oh, there he goes, running around on the table. They like to go around on these little pouches. They like to sit in these pouches. Let's see if I can get him back in here. They're so cute. They're so soft. And another great thing about them is they have really weak jaws. So they can't bite you. They can try, but they can't actually, and they're not prone to biting. But I've been bitten by a couple, and it doesn't even feel like a pinch.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And so that's just another option for somebody who's looking for something a little bit different.
Yeah, I think it's a great option for someone who really likes the look and the maintenance of a rodent, like a hamster or a rat, but they don't like the problems that are associated with rodents, such as their teeth growing forever, them chewing on things, the smell. But these opossums, they're marsupials, so they don't smell. And they can potty train. I mean, mine potty train, they like use a little litter box in their cage. They can't bite you the same way a rat or a mouse can. And they are small and cute and easy to handle. They take some training to like bond to them. They're not as easy to just pick up as a hedgehog, but they're really, really cool interactive pets for people who want something that's a little more exotic. And they want something that's kind of like a rodent, but they don't want the smell of a rodent.
You are an amazing woman, Tiffany Bean. I'm super impressed with you.
Thank you.
You know, it's funny how a traumatic experience can have such an amazing impact in so many positive ways, even though you've got a little bit of the PTSD to deal with here and there, I take it. But man, oh man, has that changed your life in an amazingly wonderful way.
It really has. I mean, sometimes when I was younger, I'd be tempted to look at my life and be like, wow, why did that terrible thing happen to me? And I won't go into details for sense of keeping it lighthearted, but then I realized, like, I feel like it must have happened to me because I needed to get involved with these animals, and I needed to be able to tell people and help people understand that traumas, they're hard. And they're awful, but there are ways to get by. And for me, a great way are animals. And I know that I'm not the only one. Like, I know that there are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people out there that need their animals for more than just companionship.
And it's so powerful to think about all the different ways that those dogs or other service animals, their intuition, but also how they have such a huge impact on the person they're there to serve.
Yeah, they really do have such a huge impact. And I mean, I work with really high demand dogs that are trained to do some pretty cool stuff, but Cozy has no purpose, and I love her so much.
Oh, I think she's got a lot of purpose if you love her that much.
Oh, absolutely. She's my little snuggle bug. I mean, she's, in a sense, no purpose in the sense of she doesn't go into public. She doesn't know any trained tasks, but that's what a pet can do for somebody. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're trained to do some amazing task or if they're just there to keep you sane.
I think no matter what kind of experiences you've had, whether they've been trauma or not, they still keep you sane, don't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Question, mini lops? or Holland Lops? Which are smaller?
Oh man, I get this question so much. Everybody wants to get a Holland Lop from me because they go, oh, I want a Holland Lop, but are they mini Holland Lops? And I think a mini Lop and a Holland Lop are two totally separate breeds, and a mini Lop is much bigger. A Holland Lop is about 3 to 5 pounds on average, and a mini Lop is closer to 10 pounds. So don't be confused by the fact that it's called a mini.
Right. And again, there's another animal that can be a fabulous pet, huh?
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I have two. I have a lot of rabbits, but I have 2 rabbits that are both rescues, and they live inside, and they are house rabbits, and they use a litter box just like a cat would, and they run around the house, and they come on their calls. They're really, really sweet.
No kidding. I had no idea that you could train them like that.
This guy is not a Holland Lop. He's an English Angora. So look how cute he is. His name is Winston Winks-a-lot. He has a last name. Winston Winks-a-lot.
Mr. Winston Winks-a-lot. Very cool.
Yeah, he is our boy. He's 8 years old, and he's lived in our house the entire time. And we rescued him when he was 2. So for 6 years, he's run around the house and uses his litter box. He plays tag with my dogs. My dogs are very, very good with rabbits because they know they will not get away with it. And I don't leave them unsupervised just in case. But they've never had a problem. He's definitely the boss of the house. He tells my dogs what's up. He's my sweet little fluffy boy.
Oh my God, that is so cool. Tiffany, what do you want people to know? If you could tell people that are interested in animals or interested in service animals, what do you want people to know about animals?
It's actually a kind of a weird and maybe controversial thing that I'd like people to know. I feel like nowadays there is a huge emphasis on rescuing. And I agree, rescuing is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But I do think it's also important to look at your life and to look at what you can handle. And if you can handle a dog that has been surrendered for some pretty hard things, then by all means, get that dog. But if you're wanting a dog that's for a very specific reason, it's okay to go to a breeder. It is okay to do your research, and I believe that breeders and people who breed animals and do it right keep animals out of shelters. Because if you have someone who's breeding correctly and only selling to people who they know is going to love and take care of that animal's not going to be surrendered. So if you look at shelters, a lot of the shelters are full of breeds and animals who people didn't really care that much. They just kind of let them run amok. They didn't care to spay or neuter, and they didn't care they just had puppies and gave them away for free. And so, yeah, there's a price tag to getting something from a breeder, but you're still giving an animal a life and a home, and you're still keeping that animal out of a shelter. So I'm all for rescuing. I've rescued many animals, but it's also okay to go to a breeder.
You are fabulous, and I have such respect for what you do in terms of breeding, and it's clear that you love these animals, and that's the most important thing, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. When it comes down to it, yes, it's a passion. Yes, I love the science of it. I love genetics. I love understanding health. But when it comes down to it, it's about the love. And that's what animals represent to me, is love.
Tiffany Bean, Paws, Utah. Again, you can be reached at tiffanybean@me.com and 801-989-4168. Thank you for being on this Possum podcast.
Thank you so much. It's pretty awesome possum.
Take care, Tiffany. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's it for this edition of Podcast TV. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.